Hi, so it's New Year's Eve, um, and so much for me. Good job it wasn't New Year's resolutions this past week. There's me saying, I'm not going to do any videos until after all the Christmas and New Year's Eve, New Year's celebrations I've finished. Fuck that. I did two about a day after I said that, so yeah, it shows I'm very weak-willed, but hopefully you like the videos that I posted. But yeah, this is another video. So, just to go back a bit to Christmas. So on Christmas, went to my sister's. I had a fantastic time. So I didn't get to open presents till I got home. My brother left this big bag of presents from sister and her family, and presents from him and his family. So I only opened them like about 7 or 8 o'clock at night when I got back. Um, and so what I'm going to show today is a video. I'm going to be looking at a book that I was not expecting from my brother. I never asked him to get this. He didn't know this was on my list of books to get. I It's an artisan edition. There's not many artisan editions I'd like to get. One of them I'd like to get would be, say, Benny Wrightson, because just genius. I know Geeky Hog has quite a few art books of his. And I guess another one would be somebody like Richard Corbin and Mobius. But there's a fourth one to make that quartet, and it is Bill Sienkiewicz. Um, and there was a book from IDW a few years ago called Bill Sienkiewicz's Mutants and Moon Knights and Assassins Artisan Edition. So it's this one. And this is what I got from my brother. So I was absolutely gobsmacked. I was not expecting this. He normally does get me graphic novels, but they're like, just your standard graphic novels, not something as spectacular as this. It's glorious. It's got really nice French flaps, even got art pieces on the interior. So you got a nice picture of Elektra there, close-ups there. There's no writing in apart from the back page, which has got like a bio of Bill Sienkiewicz and his little like brief synopsis of his life's career in art. There's one little bugbear that I will give from it. I adore this book. It's glorious, fantastic. I just want to share some bits of it with you. The only thing I have against it, and maybe it's because of how they laid it out that they couldn't do it any other way, but I wish it had been done chronologically. So from his very early works through to his later works. But it's a bit of a mishmash. It's got his middle, well, not his middle, it's 80s, some of the 80s crew, but later on it's got some earlier stuff in the middle, and then it's his Elektra stuff, and Elektra Assassin, etc., and Daredevil stuff. So it's a real jumble of layouts, but it doesn't detract from the enjoyment at all. I think it might be more because the first part is more to do with his penmanship, and the later part is more to do with his colour work, his mixed media, his oils, etc. But it's just glorious. Like I said, there's no writing in, but I pour over this every day. Just take a few minutes just to look at it. Even from like the opening page, he's got this glorious picture of Daredevil. And then for the first 60 up to page 62, it's all in segments. So you've got New Mutants for the first part, then you've got Moon Knight. I love that picture as well. Elektra, and then Daredevil, and more. So I'll just show you highlights. I mean, he's just he's one of the few artists where I get speechless just looking at his work. He gets me verbally tongue-tied. His artwork is so nice, but it's everything. Not just his color work, his black and white work is so exciting. He changed my way of looking at comic art, because when New Mutants first came out, and New Mutants is very, very special to me. It's my one true love of Marvel comics from the 80s, even more than the Defenders. Sorry, Geeky Hug, but it just jived with me really well because I was the right age for when this came out. And initially, when Bill Sienkiewicz came on, I was annoyed. I was really frustrated. The little fan that I was then, I was about 14, something like that. I wanted my Bob McLeod back because I was used to that standard classic style superhero art. But something just, after a few issues, it clicked. It made sense. Once I realised he was the one who did these painted covers as well, something about it just really clicked with me. But he he can do abstract and realism hand in hand, which is not an easy feat to do. I mean, look at that spread, just absolutely gorgeous. I want to see if they've got black and white. Yeah, so, and of course, he was the one who created the look of Warlock. There's never been anything like that as a character in standard superhero comics. And just the panel layouts as well, how there's a slight hint of chaos to them. Just absolutely beautiful. I cribbed and copied so much of his style when I was trying to become an artist myself. It was just such an energy. I would love to see another company. I'd love for them to collect his work what he did for other companies as well. And I'm a bit annoyed. The one, maybe it's because he owns the rights, but he did a series called Straight Hosters, which was very much more a mixed media art style. So there was paint, pen, ink, but then he literally threw everything in, like photos. So there's collage materials and everything in there. So that's what I am slightly upset about. But he is for me the definitive Legion artist as well. I mean, that picture of Legion is just absolutely glorious. So we'll just move on. So just got to show that picture of Gladiator. But there's, he's just such a true original, or he is now. Because when he started, and this is where it gets interesting, because just keep showing you these colour pictures first, because they are beautiful. When he started before he did New Mutants, he moved on to the guy at the side here. He did this character first. He did Moon Knight, and when he was doing Moon Knight, his art style was initially when he started doing Moon Knight, his art style was much more like a Neil Adams type of clone, and I think that's stood him in good grounding for when he experimented and made his artwork a bit more experimental, a bit more abstract, because he still had the form and the composition chops of a Neil Adams, but he was willing to take risks and push his art to the nth degree to get the desired effect that he wanted on the page. And be damned if it didn't look wonky or weird, because if it looked cool, that's all that mattered. But you could see slowly as he developed with Moon Knight, his penmanship was slowly getting a bit more, not erratic, but a bit more jagged, a bit more loose. A bit more like, say, Sal Buscema, how he does his penmanship. And so you could slowly see from his early style on Moon Knight, it then starts moving and evolving from Neil Adams clone to the Bill Sienkiewicz, what we know from New Mutants. And this is a comic that I need to get on in the Epic collections. Sienkiewicz's run on Moon Knight, because it's just beautiful. For some reason I've just never bought it, and I need to. Anybody wants to buy me? Go on my wish list now. No. If you want to, but no. If you want to. But there's just the dynamism. Even then, in his early days, like I said, you can still see the Neil Adams. Is it Neil Adams? Yeah, Neil Adams. Penmanship. But like I said, then as he evolved, Moon Knight was his like testing ground for trying out new styles. He got his Paisley style while he was doing Moon Knight, and it just slowly started evolving into what you saw in New Mutants. But as you can see, this is what I mean about it. It's a shame that the Moon Knight stuff wasn't at the beginning. Then you could see the evolution. But then we moved to the Elektra sector, which is the comic Elektra Assassin, which really, I think, put him on the map. It made him the superstar that he is now. This is when people realised that he was more than just a pen and ink artist. He basically could do everything. One comic I'd love to see released as an artist edition is his Shadow comic. You think he did like the first 6 issues, written by Andy Helfer. I think it's Dynamite to own the rights to that now. But just look at the experimentation with colour as well. There's like block colour, then the big segments of collage. He'd put fabric on there. He'd go almost like a sort of chunky Frank Miller style. He really cannot be beaten for originality. And then he just like a perfect face. Oh, it's just gorgeous. So it has quite a hefty chunk of the Elektra Assassin series, which I've got in trade paperback down there. And then we move on from there to the final segment. I'll show you some of these covers. So, hold on. Starts with a cold today. Always getting cold. So, after that, we move on to. Oh no, there's still some more Elektra. So, it's after this. We then. Some more Elektra. I mean, it's understandable there's 12 issues of Elektra, so I think it was 12. Was it 10? Can't remember. Don't correct me because I just can't remember. I've got the book down there, so I don't need someone to say, well, actually, it was 8 issues. Just too lazy to check. But this is the bit this was one of my favourite graphic novels when it came out. And this was the Daredevil graphic novel. He drew the best Kingpin ever. He was basically just a brick shithouse. He was just a slab of pure muscle. And just his art style evolved even more. The Painterly, it was a much more classic kind of like Painterly style, but with his experimentation with panel layout, like the panel dropping onto the other panel. And then there's some covers. I didn't know he did a Punisher War Gentleman, but it's very, very nice. So, very, very happy with this. I'm not a big art book person. I basically can't afford them. But when people buy them, I'm very happy to receive them. And this, like I said, this was one of my 4 that I really, really wanted, and I've got it, and I'm really made up. And this makes me believe in Father Christmas, because I didn't tell my brother that I wanted this, but they must have sensed it. And let's just have another drink of my posh cider. So it's $39.99. Yeah, that's a bit steep, but it's larger than. Uh, it's significantly larger than a comic or a standard graphic novel. The paper is extremely high quality, and like I said, there's no writing. It's just something you pour over. It's a perfect coffee table book. Yeah, even I get feel giddy holding it, because it's a thing of beauty. It's an object of beauty, and just to pour over his line work, this makes me want to start doing artwork again. That's the kind of artist he is. It gets you excited. You look at the study and light and shade here, just wonderful. Just seeing how he does it, and it's very deceptive when you look at his work. Sometimes a page can look really, really detailed when you look at it closely, and it's quite abstract shapes what he's used, but he's got this really clever use. He's got this really perfect eye for perception. So what you see isn't always what you get. Very clever use of kayfabe, and yeah, oh, gorgeous. So yeah, I highly recommend. Oh, I'm just gonna show you one last picture because I just saw it there. So, highly recommend if you're a big fan of Bill Sienkiewicz's work. Highly recommend hunting this down. I think it is still in print. It was released a few years ago. yeah, it's just a thing of beauty. If you like art, you like to see how it is in the raw, then this is a perfect one, and it's not too cost prohibitive. Not like the Apex editions or the artist editions, where they're the big oversized hardcover ones, which I think are gorgeous. Um, yeah, just really, really fun. So I hope you enjoyed sharing my pleasure at receiving this perfect gift. Okay, bye.